So thanks again. Super appreciated. And look forward to the next event. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow, lots to unpack there.
A lot's unpacked.
A lot of beeping.
A lot
All
of
right.
beeping.
So just as we're going into after hours stock price here, the market isn't understanding this. I think that we kind of knew that the price is down.
Right.
Tesla stock price is down. To
Everyone
392.
who is like, oh, the stock price should be falling now is an idiot, I think, because they've just unveiled something that is pretty remarkable.
Yes, well, except for a few things here. I think that there was some keywords that were expected. I expected to hear million-mile battery. Did not hear it. And so I think when analysts and others were looking for, okay, well, we at least expect to hear these certain things and didn't hear them, that's probably what got them to go, you know what is this?
Right.
The presentation itself, I thought they rushed through some of the more important points. They were so excited to get to the next point that they rushed through some very exciting points. So I think the takeaway from this for the average non-geeky person is it just washed over them. It just, a lot of these points were like, you said a lot of percentages and a lot of gigawatt hours, and I don't know what you meant.
And big numbers and big sciencey words.
And the big takeaway, if you're going to remember one number from this presentation, and I wrote down pages and pages of notes here, okay? The one number comes on, I think, my fourth page here, where we get to the 56%. And I think that if you want to remember nothing else from this, it is that they have a plan to get themselves to reducing the price per kilowatt hour by 56%. I think what the market heard was we're not actually doing that this second. And so I think the market is like, oh, you don't have this magical battery this second, so you got nothing.
Right.
What they said was, we've got the glide path to get there in, I don't know, what that part wasn't totally clear. 12 to 18 months or 3 years? I'm not exactly sure. I'm saying safe bet is 3 years.
Right.
But here's the thing. If other companies don't follow Tesla's lead and innovate and basically follow this plan that they just gave them, then those companies are going to go out of business.
Because
Clear, like that's it. Because if you understand that all companies that make cars will be EV manufacturers, and you understand that in order to keep up with Tesla, you have to be as innovative and efficient as Tesla, then you would understand today that, oh crap, we have to follow Tesla's lead here.
Right. Now, I just want to bring up this very important slide that they brought up here. And
thank you, by the way, for cutting and pasting while we're trying to do
right?
This is our first time using the software, and you're doing a great job.
So, okay, so
yes,
we want to talk
very
about,
important.
First of all, let's talk about
us?
range. Yeah, I know, there's so much stuff here. Range increase, 54% range increase.
Huge.
So, also, another fun thing to bring up here, I just kind of snipped this while we were watching the presentation. Oh, boy. Oh, 4K screens. It's because I snipped it on the 4K screen. 139.9.
Well, stick it over there for the most part.
It's too big.
Yeah, but just
it's too big. All right, so we're talking Plaid here. We're talking the Plaid is 139.9, so $140,000 for the Plaid Model S. It is available now.
It's just like
pre-order.
It's just like what I predicted.
Yes. Now it says that they're going to begin producing these cars late 2021.
Yes.
So we have to wait for this for quite a while.
Over a year.
Over a year, we're going to have to wait for this. But 0 to 60 of less than 2 seconds.
Better than I thought.
Quarter mile in less than 9 seconds. Tri-motor all-wheel drive.
So I just want to point out, this is like getting a Roadster practically. These are pretty much Roadster specs that you will be able to get in 2021 for way less than a Roadster. Let's remember, a Roadster is going to start at $200,000.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to get this for $139,000.
Yes.
The range, fantastic. That's what you expect to get with a Roadster.
Yeah.
This will seat 5.
Yeah.
So
that's huge.
That's huge. But again, the reason why I think you're seeing the stock price go down and why I don't think the market's that excited
is because they don't understand these numbers.
They don't understand these numbers, but they also didn't see the car on stage. I know that he had footage of it driving.
He should have had it on stage.
Should have had it on stage.
The simplest thing.
He should have had Franz drive up on stage again, because then it would have been more real that the car was there instead of just like off on a track. But it is tested at Laguna Seca.
Yep.
He said there's even possibility of getting better stuff out of it because it's still a year away.
Yep.
So that's exciting. But again, I don't know if the average non-Tesla person is going to get how exciting that is.
Right. So okay. Range
so let's go back to your range increase.
of 54%. That is pretty huge.
Pretty huge?
It's huge.
In basically 18 to 36 months?
Right.
That's phenomenal.
So that means you take and also then a 50% reduction. This is the big number, I think, to me. The 50% reduction, 56% reduction in dollars per kilowatt hour. That means you take a battery, the battery pack that's in your car, and it's 56% off.
I want to talk about the Osborne effect here. I think that one of the reasons why Elon might not have given any hard dates was if he had said, in August of 2021, you'll be able to buy this car with this pack. A lot of people would have said, oh, okay, I'll just put off my order for my Model Y.
Exactly.
Whereas this kind of spongy, 18 months, 36 months, people who are thinking of buying a car are like, okay, well, I guess that's pretty far off. I guess I can safely buy my car. He's got a tough problem here, which is he can't tell you too many awesome things are coming right around the corner, or else demand dies.
Yep.
So it might be that he actually has the ability to get there faster.
And he can deliver faster without anyone expecting it.
Right.
And so by exceeding expectations, it's something that he's kind of learned, is that if he can exceed expectations, people are going to be more excited than if he is in any way late. I think that it's an excellent sign that they have the production lines, the pilot production lines ready to go. I think that is really, really important.
Well, I want to talk about quarter over quarter. Everyone's so excited about what's happening this quarter, what's going to happen next quarter. Tesla's not looking at it that way. They're not looking at, oh, what can we do to our bottom line for this next quarter? They're looking at a long-term plan
a huge long-term plan.
And so the market might be like, oh, well, so this quarter, they're not going to be able to do anything exciting.
And it's like, well, first of all, the Model Y. Second of all, Model 3 sales are still going up. I mean, all of this stuff there is still a positive thing, which is that the company is doing great.
The takeaway from Battery Day is that almost all other companies either are gone very soon or they're going to have to pivot very fast.
Because they don't have this plan. And that is the important thing.
Because
if we're talking 3 years and Tesla can do this, bye-bye every car company. Because if they could make a $25,000 smaller car, the Model 2.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
If they could do that, it would open up the market for Tesla to just explode.
I just want to talk about this for a second. A $35,000 Model 3, right? That's the average. $35,000 is roughly the average new car price in the United States. Every $5,000 you can lower that price, you double the number of people who can afford it. Drew said this right at the end. It's not logarithmic. It's not linear. It's logarithmic. So if you lower the price of the car from $35,000, 30, 25, you've now opened it up to 4 times as many people.
Right.
And so if in 3 years they can offer an electric car that basically blows away any ICE car in that range, it's game over for any ICE car manufacturer, because at that point they have nothing to offer. By that point, Elon will have a pickup truck.
Right.
By that point, Elon will have mastered the sedan and the SUV. He'll then have a $25,000 car. Game over.
Right.
And I think an important point he said during this presentation that had nothing really to do with batteries necessarily was, in the future, all auto manufacturers will have to be EV manufacturers.
Right.
And so I know that what we were chomping at the bit for today, and I was disappointed that we didn't hear more about VPP, that we didn't hear more about vehicle to grid, and I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But what we did hear today was they have a plan to get themselves to a way cheaper battery. And that basically is the key to EV success.
Yes. It is the single most important factor. I want to bring up a question or a point that Rob said. He says, seems like Tesla pivoted from targeting a million-mile battery to targeting easy-to-scale recyclable batteries because this is the bigger problem.
Let's talk about this.
Well, first of all, I think that they are going to have million-mile batteries, because if you can do a range increase, if you can increase your range, keeping the battery chemistry the same, 100%. The bigger the range you have, let's say 500 miles, and then you slap on a 2,000 cycle life, that's 1,000,000 miles.
I think again, Osborne effect.
Yep.
And I guess just to remind everyone what the Osborne effect is. It's when a company comes out with a product, and then they say, and next month or next year, we're going to have an even better product. And so everyone's like, well, I don't want the product you just came out with then. I'm going to wait for the better model. So I think that Elon knows that if he says 1,000,000-mile battery, everyone will be like, what year is that going in the car?
Exactly.
And as soon as he says 2022, you go, okay, I'm going to wait for the 2022 Model Y.
Right, or 2021. Because it sounds like, I mean, if they can get this Plaid out, and the Plaid has these batteries in it, let's just do a little bit of, detective work in our own minds. That would mean that they would have a up and running battery plant for these batteries by the end of 2021.
Yeah, this is constantly going to be Tesla's problem because they innovate so fast.
Right.
Is that their new products are always just around the corner, and we know they're going to be great. And so we're always. This happens today, right? You're about to buy, say, a Model Y, and you're like, oh, but if I just wait, there'll be some cool new thing. Yeah, there will, for sure. It's always going to be that question. And so I think Elon's always having to dance around how much he can tell us right on paper.
Right.
And so I think you're right. I think he effectively did say you're going to have pretty much a 1,000,000-mile battery.
Right.
I just can't really come out and say it. Let's go to Rob's point about recycling, though. Really huge point that I think, again, got lost in this just massive deck. They basically said that as we go out a few more years and we get enough batteries into cycle, Tesla is going to be recycling the batteries. That is the cheaper way to get the materials. Now, they threw up one slide to show this,
Right.
and so it didn't really stick, I think. But what they're basically saying is, we've had third parties do this up until now. We're going to take this in-house. And I think, even though he didn't say it, I think this had something to do with Redwood Materials and JB Straubel. So I think that they are going to actually be taking back their old batteries, getting all the materials out of them, and recycling.
Right. Well, and you see the graph here, and I mean the amount of batteries that are being produced that are going to be recycled. It takes a while for this stuff to come in.
Yeah, and we're just if you look at the scale there, right by the chair near Elon is 2021, and it's starting to lift. You're starting
to
see
to 2025.
Right, and so in just that 5-year span, you'll start to get enough batteries where it could actually make sense to start recycling. So they're starting that process, and I think that's going to be huge.
Right, and so the serial killer brings up an excellent point. Who are these idiots? Why do they think that there was going to be a $25,000 Tesla tomorrow?
Right.
I mean, the cheapest Tesla you could buy today is $35,000. Why did they think that it would just happen immediately?
I think because we are all so trained now to get instantaneous gratification. I just want good news right now. It's like I want Christmas right now. Instead of hearing what they basically said, which is you're going to have amazing results, but in 18 months.
Right.
So. Yeah, can you wait 18 months? Yeah, we can wait 18 months. The other point I want to bring up here is they said, take everything you know about how to produce batteries and basically throw it all out.
Yeah.
Because as they showed, we're going to take almost every process, every step, and we've gone back to first principles. And this is what makes Tesla absolutely insane.
This is the most important part. They are changing the way the batteries get made because instead of needing to rely on this, you have this little cell. This isn't an 18650. We have one somewhere. You can now get to a big honking size like this thing, which is just a regular D battery. But the difference in these two is a 16% range increase just on the cell size alone.
Yes.
That is before you get into any of the battery chemistry, which they talked all about in that presentation.
I just want to pat you in the back here because you got the size almost exactly right.
Yeah.
You said a 4576. It turned out to be?
I forget.
A 4680. So really close.
I was pretty well. Yeah, I mean, I was measuring the height more directly, but yeah, okay, I'll give myself some credit. Sure.
So a 5 times volume boost, but as they pointed out, if you can't solve the heat problem, it doesn't matter how big you can make the battery.
Right.
Yet they solved that problem.
Well, and I loved the way that they did the presentation because it really did walk you through. You can be the biggest idiot in the world, and you're still going to understand how it works.
Thank you, Kang. No, you're right. I liked how they walked through, but I thought that they were so fast that I feel like for a lot of people who aren't, into battery specs, they probably lost a bunch of people because they were talking about so many different things. Like, I was prepared for what they talked about, and yet I had trouble keeping up.
Right.
They were talking about how each step is saving so much in density, how much money, and yet I think most people were kind of like, "Whoa, slow down," you know. So many. It was just so packed with stuff in there. It's going to take my brain at least a day to unpack.
Yeah.
I want to remind everyone we're going to do an in-depth about this on Friday so that we do have a chance to actually crunch some of these numbers because, yes, I took pages of notes, and I'm going to be going back through the slide deck and listening to some things because there's things I'm sure I missed. I want to talk for a second about VPP, virtual power plants. I wish that he had brought this up as a big talking point. He mentioned it at the end as something that could happen, and I believe it will, but that wasn't talked about, so that bummed me out. And also I want to talk about vehicle to grid. He basically dissed it and said we had it in the Roadster and no one used it, so therefore I don't think we're going to do it.
And I understand that because he is a very data-driven guy, so he's probably thinking like, oh, okay, no one used it in the Roadster, so I'm going to use that data going forward. I think that I understand the points that he brings up, but they're the same points that any idiot would bring to me. Who's like, well, my car won't be charged in the morning. It's like, okay, but you don't usually need to charge a car all night. So if your car was balancing the grid at night, and then you can go into work, plug in, and have it continue to balance the grid, and leave you with enough charge to get home and do all the rest of the errands you want to do, especially if you have a 500-mile car. I mean, give me a break. Let's say all the Tesla Model 3s, even the lowest level Tesla Model 3 is going to be able to have like a 325 or 350, 400-mile range. Great. Take a bunch of that range, devote it to balancing the grid. I think that it would work. Honestly, though, let's think about this. There's not too much of a reason to do it at this present moment. I think that it could drive sales of say, Solar Roof, even power walls, and cars. I mean, if you could have the full thing and be a part of a virtual power plant, you would really be able to get all the benefits out of it because it would start to push utilities out of being utilities.
Yeah, I think that one of the problems we have here is that this battery day was supposed to happen in March, and it didn't happen until September. And so we've had way too much time to just go through every possible conspiracy theory of what it could be.
Yep.
If it had come out in March, I think actually the stock price would have taken off more because people would be like, we didn't even think of any of these things.
Right.
But we've had plenty of time to think of all the goodies he could have given us, and so now we're just looking at it in reverse.
Well, and he gave us two of the things we asked for. I wanted the Model 2 and I wanted the Plaid, and I thought there was a 10% chance of both of them.
Yep.
So
and you got them both.
I got both of them. I want to go to Dustin's comment here. He says, "What if they use these new plans to cast modular homes equipped with all Tesla technologies? The module could be cast in the form of a shipping crate and be transported via semi-truck."
I think that kind of leads to the point they made at the end, which is if you have ways of doing things that we're not thinking about, come work for us. And what other company do you know of says, hey, come tell us we're wrong. Come tell us a new method that we haven't thought of.
Right.
They tell you, come and fit into our little design of how we put you.
Yeah.
That's not what they want at Tesla. They are limited also by engineers. And so, yeah, if you're watching this right now and you're an engineer or you want to be one, go work for them because that's how we're going to change things. Yeah. I want to talk about the stock price for a second. Going into today's battery day, I didn't have time because we were getting ready for the show. I was going to buy stock. I was going to load up on some more because stock price was kind of dipping to 420s level, and now it's at 395. So you better believe that tomorrow morning I'm going to be loading up on some more Tesla stock because I'm going to take advantage of any opportunity when the stock is down to load up because I'm a long investor.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what's going to happen next week with the stock price, but I do know in the long term this was fantastic news.
Yes. I want to get to Matter 45's point. He said, no one is talking about the recharge time for the new cell. Exactly. Completely slipped my mind. The new interface to the copper roll means very fast recharge times with no heat problem.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I completely forgot about that.
I didn't forget about it. I kept waiting for it to come up, and the fact that it didn't come up, I think, was on purpose. I think this is another one of those Osborne effect things. If he had said, the new battery is going to have some amazing charge time,
Yep.
we all would have said, okay, waiting to get our new Tesla then until you give me that.
Yes.
He can't tell you everything.
Right.
He's got to give it to you in little pieces when a new product comes out, and that is his problem. So yes, you're absolutely right. With a 96, well, we estimated this new cell could be up to 96
So
amps.
actually, we did get the number because he said
Oh, yes,
it
it
was a 96 time, or no, not 96,
It was
6 time increase in power.
Yes, and so we had estimated the last cell to be how many amps? 6 amps. So 36 amps.
36 amps.
Okay, so we were off, but we weren't off by that much.
Well, we were off by a factor of 2.
Yeah, factor of 2 or 3.
3.
But yeah, so just that's still an amazing amount of amps.
Oh, it's fantastic, and that is really going to mean faster charge times going forward. It's
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about the T-shirt, how and how we all misinterpreted what that was.
Yeah.
That was the Jelly Roll with the tabless
folded,
design, and how beautifully simple yet complex to do.
Right.
To have that fold, where basically the whole top of the roll becomes the positive. Like,
right.
wow.
Well, and these are technologies that we aren't seeing from any other car manufacturer. They're just not.
Yeah, for those of you watching who don't know, I mean, Tesla has a patent on this technology. I just want to talk about that for a second. That means that tomorrow, if you're another cell manufacturer, you can't just go out and be like, well, we'll do it too. You'd have to license it from Tesla, which means, sure, you can maybe build that cell, but Tesla's going to benefit every time you make one of those cells.
Right.
That is amazing.
Right.
That means for years to come, they've got the lockdown on that technology.
Right.
I'm so glad that was another thing that we wanted talked about, and it was. It
Yeah.
wasn't like made up in our minds. They actually have a tabless technology that they are starting to work on.
Right. And again, all of this stuff is very in the weeds. It's not as easy as like, oh, new car. I will buy a new car. It's not that simple. Like, yeah, there will be a new car, but this is seriously it's a lot more heady. It's a lot harder to wrap your head around because the numbers that we're looking at are telling a completely different story than the general what everyone is thinking.
Right. I want to talk about how Drew kind of let it slip, or I think he meant to do this, that they've already made tens of thousands of the new cell at the Cato Road plant. So this isn't, again, a theoretical thing where they're like, well, we could make it. They've actually been running the machine and making tens of thousands of cells.
Yeah.
Not that that's the scale they need yet, but that does show that this isn't just like some lab thing. Right. This is a real cell.
Right.
And, I mean, he did say that it seems like about a year till they get to major gigawatt-hour production.
Right. I want to give a special thank you to Flow. Thank you so much for your support. And I want to thank Chris Briggs. I love this little anecdote. The horse breeder laughs at the automobile man because he thinks no one can afford to buy one. Where is the horse breeder today? The Model 2 is the Model T.
Yeah.
I think that you're right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, $25,000 for a Tesla is going to be a really and here's the thing.
Tesla with a better battery.
When we were talking about the Model 3, we were expecting pretty much that car. This car that we're now expecting. We were expecting something that was really crummy. I personally was expecting a Nissan Leaf with a longer range.
Why do you say crummy? I don't think anything. At the end, Elon said that actually this Model 2 is going to have great stats.
That's what I'm saying. In our minds, because we can see the Model 3 now, and we know that this new car is going to be cheaper, we cheapen it in our minds. Just like when you were looking at the Model S and you were thinking, it's not going to be as good as the Model. This Model 3 isn't going to be as good as the Model S. Kind of is. Sure, maybe some of the stats aren't 100%, but they are pretty darn good, and the interior is pretty nice. All of that stuff is great. So that's kind of the point here. I think that the Model 2, whatever they're going to come out with, is going to be so much nicer than what everyone is expecting right now.
I want to talk about Redith Graham. He has this question, a little confused. He said that the Plaid will be the fastest car and available at the end of next year. So what is the Roadster and where is that? So this is a really good point
Mhm.
because this is the Osborne effect problem.
Mhm.
He has to keep the Roadster so much better than this, or else no one will be interested.
Well, and also secret because it's going to be coming out after the Plaid Model S. So they need to keep that a secret. So, I mean, it's really smart. They're actually going to be able to sell a Tesla Model S at the price that they originally started selling it at for a cost to produce that's going to be extraordinarily lower than what they started producing the Model S at. It's going to be a huge margin. They're going to make so much money on these plaids because people really want them and are going to be able to pay more for something that probably costs less than the long range Model S.
Let's remember that the model, the Roadster version 2 was going to have basically a double battery pack. At least the one I wrote in, probably had a double battery pack, probably 200 kilowatt hours. That means that the new Roadster, the new version of it, the one that we haven't even seen yet, is going to have a smaller battery pack, most likely because of these new, more energy-dense batteries. And so it means that it probably will have better specs. And so, yeah, this is, I mean, again, goes back to Elon's biggest problem is his own innovation, is that he has to keep up with himself.
It's sort of like a feature creep in a video game or something. Like we have such a high expectation that when they aren't completely 100% met, we're like, it wasn't so good.
I want to talk about Shatyanya's question: Can 3 and Y have recycled? Can you basically put in new battery technology into the 3 and the Y? There's no reason why you can't. I want to point out that the Model S and X has a very easy 16-volt system. Zip, zip, zip. 3 minutes, you take out the pack. But if you watch, channels like our buddy Rich over at Rich Rebuilds, you can, in a couple hours, take out the Model 3 battery pack or the Model Y battery pack. So there's no reason why you couldn't, down the road, have Tesla offer a new battery pack for that.
Right.
And so, again, I wouldn't ever keep a decision to buy a car just because it may not have the newest, latest batteries, because A, not that important, but B, you could switch them out, I bet, in the future.
Right. Now, I kind of want to show this picture, this kind of battery pack.
Oh, yeah, you got super excited when you saw this.
This is insane.
I had originally put GigaPress as one of our topics, but I thought, well, he won't talk about that today because that's not battery technology, but it is powertrain. I mean, it is. And so, look at this, 370 fewer parts. That's crazy.
Right.
Now you're looking at basically 3 parts: a front casting, a rear casting, and now let's talk about the structural battery pack. Because what we just went from is you put a bunch of cells into modules, you put the modules into a pack. Now he's saying, it sounds like, we're going to put the cells directly into this structural battery pack, which becomes integral to the structure of the car, which means that you can reduce mass. I'm going to have to call up my notes here. I think it was 10% mass reduction. You're going to get a big price reduction, all because they came up with a new way of thinking about this. And so, how about the other car manufacturers right now? The ones who are just starting to work on EVs. They weren't even thinking of doing it this way.
Right.
Do you know how far behind they are?
Yes.
And are they going to tomorrow scrap their plans and go to this new plan? That's my biggest question.
Right.
If they're smart, they would.
Right.
But I'll bet they're not.
Well, they can't. They have to save face. They can't show that they were wrong. Isaac brings up the point. 2 big questions for today. Lucid who? Nikola who? I think that's a good point. I mean, you know,
definitely Nikola who. That's just a joke right off the bat.
Nikola who gonna be in charge of Nikola?
Yeah.
And then Lucid who? I mean, I don't remember the stats of the Lucid Air right off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure that they're pretty comparable to the Tesla Plaid, and I'm pretty sure that Tesla beat them on price.
Lucid is super important.
Let me look it up.
And here's why. We need companies like this to push Elon to keep wanting to beat them.
Right.
Why do you think he definitely put that car on the Laguna Seca course? Because of what Lucid just did. He had to crush them, just like he had to crush the Porsche Taycan.
Right.
He couldn't let that stand, and that's awesome. That's exactly what we want. Is if all these other companies weren't pushing, then Elon could, relax a little bit. Mm-hmm. We don't want Elon to relax a little bit. We want him to constantly push. And so, thank you, Lucid, and I want them to do well. Like, let's be honest. I want EV car companies, and here's a company that's only making EVs.
Right.
So thank you, Lucid. I want you to do well. Question is, will they be able to beat them in technology? I don't know.
Well, okay, so I just want to pull up the Lucid for a second. The Lucid Air Dream Edition is $169,000 before incentives. Their Grand Touring, the one that's supposed to come out summer of 2021, this could come out before Tesla. It'll have roughly the same price as the Plaid.
I want to stop you right there. If you were thinking about getting one of these, you're probably going to just stop because price. No, you're gonna get a Tesla for cheaper. Range, Tesla has better range.
Right.
Speed, it's faster, it's quicker.
Right.
But also the big elephant in the room that we keep mentioning that you have to keep in mind is the supercharger network.
Right.
Lucid does not have a supercharger network. So yeah, you could get a Lucid so you could be different from everyone on the block. Fine. Although you would still be different if you had a Plaid Model S.
Yep.
But yeah, I think they just probably hurt a lot of Lucid sale numbers right now.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point.
And again, going back to what you said, so great that the two things we wanted to see today, and we thought, well, those are low chance of seeing them, we pretty much got them. Now, did we get them this second? No. But we got them in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
I am super stoked.
I'm really stoked. Yeah.
And again, I kind of thought this too when we talked on our investor club call with Ross. I said, I don't think the market's going to get this.
No.
And he was arguing, no, they'll everyone's going to be blown away.
Right.
I don't think I think we really overestimate
how smart people are.
Yeah, we think that everyone is in our bubble with us and that they've been following this day and night.
Right.
And to you guys are still on the call with us, you guys are like PhDs like we are in this topic. We follow it closely. We are right there. I mean, we understood what Elon was talking about, right?
Right. I mean, that's a really good point. We have had time to think about dry anode technology. If you had never heard of that before, you think that's going to make any sense? Dry anode technology. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I understand that. No, you have no idea what the heck they're talking about at all.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some time before they're like, oh, you mean that's not how you just make all batteries? I thought that's how you made all batteries. I didn't realize that it's different or interesting.
Anyway, we're going to wrap this up. If you want to head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/nowyouknow, you can see the polls that we put up today and see how right or wrong you were and we were about what we thought was going to happen today. Because I was wrong. There's a bunch of things I thought were going to definitely be here. I really wanted to be here, and they weren't. But
I knew that was going to happen.
I knew that was going to happen too, and that's why near the end of the past few months, I've been saying to Jesse and our audience, like, I'm going to keep my expectations a little bit lower here because I think I've gone a little too wild.
Right.
I was super, super excited. I was also super excited to hear that Gally was in the audience.
Yep.
And that Eli was in the audience. They got to ask questions. That was great.
I just want to go through the last couple questions here. Jay Back says, won't integration of battery as a structural part of the car make battery change out way more complicated? If you look at how they put together the car, there was the front casting, the rear casting, and then the battery. It looks like you might be able to just take it out, put it back on, kind of like a Model S battery.
Oh, with bolts or something?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're going to be focused on that. So my guess is no, it won't be easy to change out the battery.
Okay. Scott L says FUV starting price at $19,000. That's not. I don't think it's going to be less than that. Tesla 2 at $25,000. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so actually the Arcimoto Fun Utility Vehicle actually starts cheaper than $19,000.
Yeah.
If you go to their configurator, which should be going live, I think pretty soon. I think the price that we were seeing was $17,000.
Yeah.
And that's just, they haven't even gone into real big production yet.
Right.
Once they hit faster production, their goal is to get down to 10K.
Right.
So
and again, if you're 10K or even less or more than 25K, which is a car that isn't even out for another maybe 2 or 3 years, I don't think that FUV has anything to worry about. They have such a great niche of what the car is.
They're two completely different uses, and the FUV has a higher efficiency than probably any car could get because they have less wheels.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't think they're fighting each other.
Right. Crafty Geek says, I hope they'll siphon off a few initial 4680s for a new variant of the supercharger-styled phone charging thing available on the Tesla shop. I don't know what that is, actually. I just don't know.
And last question, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Okay. Also, the market's closed pretty much before the battery day portion started. Yeah,
and that was by design.
That's how the way it's supposed to be.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. This was a lot of fun. But yeah, we got to go get some rest and get ready for tomorrow when we start crunching all this.
Yeah. But hit the like button because now people will who are like,
Thank you, Peter.
just waking up and hearing about like, oh, what's this battery day thing? They'll hopefully find this video. They'll hopefully find it interesting. We had a lot of interesting and fun things to talk about, and we have more stuff to talk about. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you on Friday for our in-depth, where we're going to be talking all about this stuff.